7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And that, what can I say about that, man? Again, Mr. Mike, awesome. Awesome. I was going to sit there like this. Wiping a tear from my eye. That was an actual awesome video, folks. But welcome to Off the Cuff Paranormal with myself, Errol, and
this guy, Mike.
That guy, Mike.
I feel so much taller than you.
Oh, am I? Oh, well, I can sit up like this.
I look down on
like near, far, near, far.
I look down on little people.
Here, I'll move it even closer to me. No. Oh, wait a minute. No.
You're over on this side.
Yes, I have to go this way. I have to go opposite. So folks, welcome to Off the Cuff Paranormal, like I said. And Amy, Mike often looks down on me.
You down there, Amy?
Oh my God. Okay, so what my God, how do we even start this, Mike? I mean,
I don't even know where to start. I mean, where do you start?
It was epic. I mean, like you said, it was epic. Ladies and gentlemen, we went to Sandon BC, as you can see by his shirt. And honestly, that Valley of the Ghosts has more to it than just what's written on that shirt, let me tell you.
Yeah, it does.
We drove, how many kilometers did we drive?
I think from my place, believe it or not, it was 665 from my place to get there.
So both over 1,300 there and back.
1,300 round trip, yeah. Yeah.
God, we're gluttons for punishment, I'll tell you.
What was it? 8.5 hours of driving?
8.5 hours of driving, and that's not including the back and forth out of Sandon that I did. And
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it was a lot. And you drove straight through. My
I
God, I
did.
mean, I don't know how the heck you did that. But then, folks, I can tell you, he's got a car that's a lot better on gas than mine. I must have filled up 4 times, and he's like, I still got 3/4 of the tank. I'm good. It's like, go on, I'll tell you.
I won't complain about my car's gas mileage. It's pretty damn good.
There
It's
you
pretty damn
go.
good. Yeah.
So folks, just to let you a little bit about Sandon. Sandon, BC, is an old silver mining town. It's outside of New Denver, in the Kootenays in beautiful British Columbia. We were about as far away as we could get without going across into Alberta, or just about. It
Pretty
is.
close.
Yeah, I mean, Sandon, I mean, would you like to do a little bit about the name and the origin there, Mike?
Yeah, and okay. I mean, obviously, I'm not the history guru for Sandon. We know who that history guru is, and she's currently kind of watching soccer or football.
How do you do a K? K, 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 K.
I don't know. She's watching. I think it's a Canada game. Anyways, she is our history guru. So I apologize. I do have to go by Wikipedia. I'm sorry. The name of Sandon derives from Sandon Creek, which acknowledges John Sandon. He was among the prospectors who inundated the Slocan Valley in the fall of 1891. Sandon staked several claims, including the Slocan Star, registered as being on Sandon Creek. Yeah, that's basically where it all started. Was named after John Sandon. Yeah, that's in February 1893. Kenneth McLeod and Sandon, or McLeod was his partner, I guess, here, were believed drowned in Kootenay Lake, though no bodies were recovered. John Hetherington, who worked on Sandon's farm, produced a will. The document left the whole estate to Hetherington, despite Sandon having relatives in California, and the signature being a cross apparently inscribed by a fully illiterate man.
Sounds like me.
Crazy, eh? Yeah. And then guy Johnny Morgan Harris was a partner at the Rico Galena claim, shortened to Rico or Rico, which eventually became not one, not two, but 3 hotels.
Well, 3 reversions of the same hotel.
Yes.
Different
yes.
locations slightly though, right? 2 were in one location and one was, anyway, Kay will straighten that out in a couple of weeks with you all. But there was 3 incarnations of the Rico Hotel, which was really kind of cool.
And that's actually where we camped, was technically in the lobby of one of those hotels.
That is absolutely correct.
Even though the lobby was definitely not there anymore because it was trees and dirt and ground.
True. Yeah. And it had and Kay, if anybody's there, let everybody else know on social media or our social chat. They get their butts in here. And everybody on the Facebook page, remind them, hey, we're live, we're out here. I mean, usually people start dropping in about 10 minutes in. So the early settlement really, started after the claim in 1893. Oops, hang on a second. What am I reading here? In December 1895, Harris laid out an additional extending the southern perimeter onto his London claim. East Sand in 1896 and 1900 Sunnyside, et cetera, et cetera. So it by 1900, well, hang on a second. By 1900, Harris owned hotels, office buildings, and a power plant, waterworks, and other real estate throughout what was known as Monte Carlo of the Monte Carlo of North America. The town included 20. Get this, okay? It had a population of roughly about 5,000 people at its peak, right? 5 to 6. 29 hotels, 28 saloons. They had more saloons than they had hotels. I mean, where the hell do people live? I mean, you
beer
gotta
kegs.
wonder.
They just lived in beer kegs.
I think so. And that's not including, I don't know how many actual buildings there were for the brothels that were there. The ladies of the night. Actually, I think they were ladies of the night, ladies of the day. But there was a lot of brothels there as well over the years. And we found a lot of interesting facts about the women in the brothels. They weren't just about, hey, happy go lucky, here you go, wham bam, take your man, with the door you go. No, they had a lot of other things that they did, which was incredible, including caring for the sick.
Yeah, they basically were like, if you will, they were kind of like a nurse.
Yes. But now, should we tell them about how those people got sick now, or do we want to wait a little bit?
Well, I mean, you can use your imagination. I mean, think of the era and what the heck they were doing that, would make them get sick.
Well, I think we all know it's, I said at the beginning, it's an old silver mining town. Does that give you a hint?
And it's not modern day mining by any means.
No, it's like, like give me a rock and chisel type of thing. Not quite that.
Not quite that, but it was drilling, but no water until much later on in the operation, and very few had water. So,
which really is funny because it's right on Carpenter Creek.
Exactly right. They had the water, they had the ability to do it. They just didn't.
You
have to think, because the way the hills are, right? They're like this basically, and Sandon's down here at the bottom of my hands.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, as we learned when we were there, these miners basically had to go up these slopes, carrying all their equipment. Are they going to want to drag all this water up there that, I don't even know how they would get pipes up there to do it back then anyways. Very few could do it.
Yeah, and a lot of the pipes were made out of wooden penstock at the time, so exactly. it was really interesting. But they were mining that in Galena that were there, and they were actually, and as Kay said, most of the children, and they were children, young men that died, were under 18, and they died of silicosis. So when they were no good in the mines anymore, they would be said, hey, you're done, finished, get out of here. They would replace them in a heartbeat, and the ladies that were running the brothels would actually, the madams and stuff, would come down and take them under their wing and actually look after them until they passed away.
I think we learned, I could be mistaken on the exact term, but I think it was like 6 months was the average career of a miner.
Not a play. I mean, it was a you either get rich and you get out, or you just don't get out.
No, you just don't get out. Most did not get out.
Not only was it a very significant silver mining town and whatnot during its heyday, it was also it also had multiple railways. Now, a little bit about the railways. There were two different railways that reached the town. The Kaslo and the Slocan Railway, owned by the Great Northern Railway, connected Sandon with Kaslo on Kootenay Lake. The Nooksap and Slocan Railway, owned by the Canadian Pacific Railway, connected to the Nooksap and the upper Arrow Lake, and the Slocan Lake Ferry in Rosebery. On the railway arrivals. On the railway arrivals in 1895, the rival escalated in sabotage. The final passenger train ran in 1933, damaged from, some very well-known incidences. One in particular happened in 1955, but we'll get back to that in a minute. So the mining was big, silver deposits, as I said, Galena, and all stuff, various assorted things. And a couple people actually died, which we discovered, and Kay discovered the actual proper deaths for them, due to, whatever they were suffering from at the time. Now, I guess with whatever you're working in the mine and whatever you're breathing in, could that have caused mental instabilities along with the 29 hotels?
You think?
Yeah. You think? I mean, exactly. 100%. I agree with you on that one. And some of them died rather explosively, shall, shall we say.
Now,
Um,
speaking of explosives, I think we have someone in the wings that's got an explosive personality that kind of wants to join the conversation, don't we?
we do very shortly, and
Okay.
I was going to add her, or I was going to add them very shortly to this. But just one other thing, and we'll add her and talk about what happened to the downfall of this city and a little more history about it. And then in 2 weeks, we'll have Kate come on and we'll even learn more history about that. But folks, I don't see her, but she should be about to use a link for me really quickly to come on board. But let me just see if she's here yet. No, she's not here yet. So she's going to have to use the link so actually she can come on board. So we're waiting for you. There she is. All right, folks. Well, we'd like to welcome our good friend Amy.
Yay! Hi guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Amy, welcome on board Off the Cuff Paranormal. I think Mike, you're still trying to look down at her, but she's almost equal with you right now. Not quite. Oh, now she's way above you.
Is it that way?
Don't.
You
I was gonna say.
He
So,
just
ladies and
making
gentlemen,
fun.
Amy is an investigator with MPI, has been for a few years now, and been an investigator for God, how many years? I don't know. Many.
20, about 20, I think.
There you go, about 20. Yeah. Kate's just posting something. So we were talking about Sandon, and you rode up with me, and up with me most of the way, and part of the way back with me. Was Sandon even remotely what you expected when you got up there?
Oh God, you know what? I didn't know what to expect, and I was really going in with no expectations. I think that's the best way to kind of go into it. But it had a vibe that I didn't really expect. I think that's the best way of putting it. I mean, I knew that there were some really cool buildings and there were some buses and stuff, but when you actually get up there and feel the vibe of the actual area and the land and actually see it for yourself and actually try to visualize where the buildings would have been on the boardwalk that's now washed away, it was kind of mind-blowing, actually, in a way I really didn't expect. It actually made me feel a little emotional being up there, that this massive piece of history was literally either burned or washed away. So
Yeah. Well, and speaking of washed away, what year did that happen there, Mike?
Hang on. I got that somewhere here. Oh my God. You're putting me on the spot because I didn't
It's
have
at the
it.
bottom of the railways.
Oh, is it? Okay. Oh my God.
okay.
1955. Hey, 1955.
1955. So, I mean, maybe from your guys' perspectives,
Yeah.
when you walked up there and you learned that a major rush of water came down off the mountains through Carpenter Creek, I guess you have to kind of tell them a little bit about how Sandon was actually built and what caused the major devastation.
Well, I mean, basically, there's like a wood boardwalk. So if you think like, in my mind, in my mind, picture like if you're at like an amusement park and you have like this wooden boardwalk and you have the buildings on either side. It's kind of like that. Although it wasn't an amusement park, it was an actual community, and this boardwalk was over top of Carpenter Creek. And then, like I just said, in 1955, there was a lot of basically snow melt up in the mountains, and it just kind of came rushing down all at once and destroyed the community of Sandon. And it like destroyed is not even like putting it mildly. It was gone.
Yep. Pretty well. There wasn't much left, was there?
No, there was really nothing left. Yeah.
And that in itself was incredible. And then they also dealt with a devastating one. Now, was the fire before? Don't get me wrong on this. I don't remember. Was the fire before or after the flood?
I thought it was before.
It was before. It was before. Yeah.
Was it? Okay. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure on that note.
The fire was in 1900.
Oh, okay. All right. And the fire just devastated everything again. They rebuilt.
Yeah.
And then the flood comes down and wipes everything out. And literally there was only like 1 or 2 buildings that were left. Really?
Yeah. So basically it's like after the flood, vandals and treasure hunters went in and basically ransacked anything that was left. And then there was nothing, like it literally became a ghost town. There was like nobody there anymore.
So, it started to decline after 1900, and really, 1920, facilities just deteriorated. I can't even say that word. Fell apart.
That's a good way of doing it.
and that's right. In 1953, large scale mining never really returned to Sandon, so it just kind of died out after that. But there was one thing that happened after all that, in about 1945. Now, I think, Amy, you know what happened in regarding to that, don't you?
I should, but it's not coming. Yay, chime in, please.
He's putting us on the spot here. It's like,
oh my
what
God.
is this, high school history?
High school history lesson at 8:30 p.m.
What happened in 1945?
You're on the spot. Mr. Pearson wants an answer.
I honestly, I really don't remember.
Amy, it has to do with World War II.
Yeah, okay. Oh, of course. The Japanese encampment. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, you guys. History was never my my strong suit, but I tried so hard.
Amy, I'll give you a pass. I know you had a root canal, and I think they drilled a little too far.
Just a little too. I know. Walking around like this all day.
Yeah, I was waiting to see her.
Like anymore.
I was going to say she's talking like Jean Chrétien.
They use some pepper spray.
Yes, the Japanese internment camp.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And how many Japanese were actually there? I mean, I don't know. There was about 953 internees, and they resided with about 50 full-time residents. So there's a lot of history to Sandon. So when we all walked in there, we all just kind of went, "Wow." I mean, it didn't even come close to what I really expected. I don't think anybody really expected to kind of see what it was and what still existed in there.
I knew what to expect, because I've been there before.
Well, okay. Well, you're one of the few. One of the few. You're the only one up there out of us all. So, Amy, when you you got up there, you had a chance to walk around and look at stuff before we even got into any investigations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And what stuck out for you the most?
Oh boy. There was so much that just kind of encapsulated. I don't know. For me, it was just seeing some of these old buildings and sometimes feeling watched from a window. Like that kind of got me, especially like the City Hall area. But just trying, like I said earlier, just trying to picture how Sandon was. But also talk to like Vita and Hal that were up there and having the history lesson. That was just fabulous, walking around with Hal all day for a good part of the morning, and just having him tell us about everything that he knew about Sandon, because he was so knowledgeable. And I just appreciated that so much. That was probably what stuck out the most for me for the trip, I think.
Well, I know there was one particular event that stuck out for you. It stuck out for all of us, really, and it had something to do with
Yeah,
I do believe it has something to do with that.
Yes.
Now, Amy's sitting there, you know, in traffic, and like, we got to film this. So,
Up in Kelowna,
folks,
yeah.
yeah, this is what
Annabelle,
happened.
she's out. She.
Did you get it?
I do apologize for her.
I love that. Oh God, we laughed so friggin' hard.
Oh my God, that was absolutely hilarious.
So,
And
I was
Annabelle
so
is.
glad. I was so glad that I was following behind because that was absolutely priceless.
you know, the funny
That
thing
was
is,
great.
I wasn't even going to bring her. Like, you know, I'm packing all my stuff, and my wife goes, "Aren't you bringing Annabelle?" And I said, "No." And she goes, "Look at her. She is sad. She needs to go." And I just looked up at her, and I'm like, "Fine." Like,
Well, you buckled her in pretty good in the back seat there, Mike.
I know, right? And like, who knew it would be like such a funny thing, like driving through Kelowna, and here's Annabelle at the sunroof of my car waving at people, and I'm like, oh my God.
Now we won't blame too much of Kay on that one.
Kay was like
Oh, wait a
holding her
minute.
by the
on
feet,
her.
trying to keep her in the car.
That's right. It was all Kay. So, you know, we had a great trip up there. I mean, a lot of things were talked about and discussed on the way up. And folks, just before we get much more into Sandon itself, I just want to run through a few pics for you, just so you can kind of see what the scenery looked like that we were looking at, right? These are various shots, either coming down or away or up or over or wherever the case may be. I think that's coming out of Kelowna. I don't know who took that shot in the middle of the highway. You know, that is the lake. What lake was that? Was that?
That's Upper Arrow Lake.
That's Upper Arrow Lake. Upper Arrow Lake, and that's it again, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So there's Upper Arrow
Yeah.
Lake.
Yeah.
Where the mountains came in from, I'm not really sure. And then as we got closer to Sandon, of course, well, hang on, let's see. Do I have to step back here? Let me just have a look here. Hang on. Oh, yep, no, I can continue on. Hopefully I did these in the right order. Anyway, we got into Sandon, and you know, everybody set up tents and whatnot. The camping was great, wasn't it?
Oh,
It
Kevin
was
was great.
amazing. Yeah.
So, you know, the camping was pretty good. Sorry, I was hiding you, Mike, behind a picture.
It's okay. The pictures are better looking than me.
Yeah. Well, we did find a friend of yours though.
Yeah. Everybody on the team knows what I was afraid of, and luckily I didn't see this until the last day.
Well, there's his friend. There's the bear, and there he is again, and there he is again. So we did have bear down there, and we did have this.
Hey, yummy.
Hey, Bear.
Oh, I like the flowers. Thank you for letting us video you.
Isn't it beautiful? Look at that
It's so
cool.
handsome and healthy and pretty.
And I'm just gonna go over
Just
here.
meandering down the trail. Oop-a-doop-a-doo.
How far would you say I've got more of my sense of distance?
50. They're
So we
resident
did
bear.
have. Oh, the bear was classical. And just a couple more pictures for those that want to see them, and then we'll get more into the chat. Right? This was out front of City Hall. Again, out front of City Hall.
Hey, look, it's me.
And Patrick. Love the hat. Love the hat,
And
Patrick.
Amy.
And Amy. A shot of is that down Carpenter Creek?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's towards like the entrance of Sandon.
Yes, that's
So
looking.
I'd be
west.
heading out back toward Denver
Yeah.
or New Denver.
Yeah.
Then I don't know who took that shot.
Look, I think that was one of Nikki's shots.
It's not my best side.
Yeah.
It's not my worst either, though. Of course, that was not my best side either. So I mean,
There's
So
a lot
another
of
thing-
candid shots.
Yeah, that was outside of the powerhouse, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we have multiple
Yeah.
shots. I love this one.
That's
If anybody
hilarious. I
can
don't
read,
remember seeing that one. That's
if
hilarious.
anybody can read the sign, can you guys read the sign?
Beware pickpocketers, big pickpockets.
Yeah, and loose women.
And loose women. That's right. There is a shot of Nikki next to that too. I'll have to get that one later.
Yeah.
That was great. And then one last pick we have. That's a creek going up from the powerhouse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going up the mountain. So, and there's a lot more pictures we're going to show you over the next 4 weeks, folks. These are just some of them. And so we got back into Sandon. We arrived there and we met Hal and Vita. Hal and Vita are really fantastic folks. Went out of their way above and beyond to get us set up, to help us set up. Any issues we had, they dealt with us. And again, as you were saying, Amy, Hal was just a wealth of information. I mean, he just, you let him talk and he would just.
I think he's been up there, what do you say, for like 52 years or something. Like,
Yeah.
Like, it was amazing what he knew and the people he knew and just how much history he's pieced together. It's just, he's just a walking textbook. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that amazed me about that was, that's probably partially due to my dad being an engineer, or was an engineer at the time, was the powerhouse.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic.
I was amazed by the powerhouse.
Yeah.
It's it's far better shape than any other building there, of course, but it was the longest working powerhouse in BC, isn't it?
I believe it's actually the oldest one in Canada now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one thing that was really particular about it, the generator, or the generator part for it, is supplied by 3 pipes of water that drop thousands of feet from the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually supplies electricity to the grid even outside of Sandon.
Mm-hmm.
But the generator itself, apparently, from story, was built by Nikola Tesla himself. Now, whether he actually showed up to install it, nobody really knows. But the same one that he built many, 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 many years ago is the same one running today.
Yeah. And like, I think it was Patrick that had a really good point, was, there's no documentation that Tesla was ever in Sandon, but because of who he was a very popular man. Why would you travel and book any travel, hotels or anything under your name? So he could have very well been there under a false name.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
100%. And although we didn't get into a lot of places, and there's stuff we didn't even get to see, it was an incredible opportunity to go. Now, we only got really basically part of a day and one night to do an investigation. We weren't up there that long. Next time, it's definitely gonna be longer. And you, Amy, had, at least with other various people, you had some experiences. So before we get into those, if you were to look at, and I don't know why I'm getting feedback on my phone or something, but if you were to look at on a scale of 1 to 10 of Sandon being paranormally active, where would you stand at that?
Oh gosh, I would probably give it a 10 from what we females experienced, for sure. I can almost, I can't even explain even half the things that happened to us up there. It was nothing like what I've ever experienced. It was just one thing after the other when it came to us females in a group, especially. And then you having to go in there and be like, you leave them alone. They're my friends. You leave them alone. You go and you apologize. You say you're sorry.
I was pissed.
Well, you and I both, Daryl. I think I actually told the girls after the fact is like I think that's the first time I ever actually like lost my temper a little bit with an entity like any spirit that might have been there. Right?
Yeah.
I was kind of like, that was not okay. You don't do that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And sorry, I'm getting out of the comments here. And well, I think that yeah, I don't know if I'd give it a 10, but it would be pretty damn close. I mean, it's one of the most unique things I've ever experienced up there.
Yeah.
And you're right, Mike. I mean, both of us kind of got a little irritated. Now, you're going to have one story to this side because you had one aspect of this, and I would like you to tell it. At the same time, though, next in a couple of weeks, we're going to have Kay on board, and hopefully Nikki as well. And they'll be able to tell you this story too, but from their perspective.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, Kay's got a very unique perspective on this one. But let's start off kind of at the beginning. What did we hit up and where were we, Mike?
Where all this activity happened to the girls, you mean? Basically, it was the biggest building that still exists in Sandon, which would be the City Hall, which was also many other purposes, like the school, the court. What else was it?
It was a big jail. It was a school. It was a Mason's Hall.
Fire hall.
Yeah.
Fire hall.
Fire hall. It's very multi-purpose building. 3 floors. And each floor was unique in its own way.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like the top floor was, you like is just going up the stairs was like going through a time machine.
Yeah.
It was really, really interesting. And maybe that's why I know, like I said it to Amy at the time, I said, going up the stairs and you stand on the landing, and I felt like really just off. Like I think at the time I said I felt like someone was going to push me. Maybe that was not the right word, but I just felt like dizzy almost. And maybe it was because it was just the way the building is designed and all that, but it was really a funky feeling going up the stairs all the way to the top floor.
But it was funny when you said that, because I was right ahead of you going down the stairs, and I remember thinking, "Oh, is somebody going to come and push me?" Like I had that thought of being pushed down the stairs, and then you had mentioned, like I should just hang on to this railing because I feel like I could be pushed. And I was like, that's kind of funny. You should say that.
Yeah, like obviously we never said anything before that or anything, right? It's just kind of like
we didn't even know. It never crossed our mind.
No, but for both of us to have that exact same thought was kind of like, I was like, really?
Yeah.
Now, when we were first there and we were walking down to do the walk around, I was walking down with Vita down the road, and this is before we actually went in there. Yeah. And there's on the, I guess it's facing. Which way would it be facing up Carpenter Creek? Would that be east? I guess. Anyway, it's facing up the creek, not down the creek.
Yeah. And Carpenter Creek goes, if you're going up creek, it would be going east.
Yeah. So I was facing up east, and I was facing actually west, looking at the big windows on the side of the City Hall. And there's 2 that are like connected. Like there's 2 long ones that are connected. They're longer than all the rest. I found out later that the bottom one is not original. The bottom one was put in. The top one was original. And I said to Vita as I came down, I said, can I ask you a question? She goes, yeah, sure. I said, any history of like a figure in a robe or a cloaked figure or something? Because well, not in a robe or not in a cloak, or no, not in a robe so much. I can't remember exactly. It was either one or the other. And she said, no, not really. And then she went, well, wait a minute. She goes, there was something that was cloakish. Yeah. And I said, well, what was it? Because, well, it used to be the court up there, courtroom. And the judge would, of course, worn his robes, all right, or the equivalent of. Mm-hmm. She goes, why? And I said, well, and she goes, oh, come on, tell me. And I'm like, well, up in the top window. And I hadn't mentioned the window up until that time. I said, up in the top window, I see in that longer one, I see something semi-floating there or standing there. She goes, "What's it look like?" I said, "Well, it looks like like one of those robed fingers from Scooby-Doo. I mean, that's kind of what it was like, without all the exaggerant, but that's how I depicted it." And she goes, "Well, that wouldn't surprise me if that would have been the honor." Hey, Sharon, how you doing? That would have been where his quarters would have been. So it makes sense to have seen him. And that actually, because the floor had changed. Now that's where the stairs come up, but they used to come up in the center, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of started everything off for me right off the bat. And then we went down there. You guys went up. You felt that off center. We started up on the third floor. From your perspective, how was the third floor for each of you?
It was calm.
Amy, go. You go first.
Yeah, it was calm. Every time that we were up there, I just felt really calm. Like I could just fall asleep on the couch.
I almost did.
Yeah.
I know you almost did. I was watching you.
I tried not to. I did.
I think all of us were kind of like, it's been a day already. We haven't even started yet.
Yes, exactly.
I'd have to agree that the top floor was the most calm feeling. I didn't feel like anything unusual about it. I was more like looking at all the stuff in the room, really, more than anything. But nothing struck me as being paranormal per se.
Okay. Apart from a bang.
Yes, the Big Bang.
The Big Bang.
That was on the second floor, but Kay just mentioned something about the floor bumping. Like when we were upstairs on the third floor, she is right. I did forget about that, where we did feel like the floor was kind of shaking, like going up and down.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because you guys thought it was me because I had kind of shifted on the floor.
Yeah.
And I kind of did it again, and it didn't. The floor did not shake. It was not me. I'm not a big fat ass. Okay, maybe a little bit, but anyways, it wasn't me. And the floor did shake a couple times, and we could not figure out the source of that.
So then everybody moved down. Like the second floor was done first, wasn't it?
No, I think it was done. No, it was done second.
We went top down to bottom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we went down to the second floor, and that's where the proverbial hit the fan.
Yeah, you can say it that way.
Now, folks, picture this. There's 4 women, 2 guys in basically the right-hand side of the building, more than the left because the stairs were over there. We had EMF meters. We had REM pods. We had recorders, video recorders, and we had EDIs. Now, I should go actually grab my EDI and show you, but I'd have to run away and do that. The EDI is basically an orange device that registers, and if anybody knows in paranormal registers, pressure, humidity, EMF, vibration, and a couple of other sorted things that really accurately. It's a really quite an interesting device. We had 2 of them. So it was
fun to go use one as yes and the other as no.
Yeah, so we started off kind of with that prospect of things, and we started asking questions. And from this point, I'm going to let Amy take it because this is where it starts to get a little funky.
Yeah, so we had 2 of those devices, and we decided to use one for yes and one for no. And consistently, it was like we were having a conversation. They would light up when we asked. And it doesn't always happen that way.
No.
It just doesn't. For us girls, we did find that it was almost like we were having conversations with numerous people. It was almost like the questions we would ask. Sometimes the energy felt like it was like really young and happy, and it would just like react to questions that may relate to a child. And then sometimes we would be asking about women's in the brothels, and then it's like, yeah, blip 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 blip. And it was more consistently going towards the brothel side of things. which was very interesting. Is there was brothels down the road, and one gentleman spent quite a bit of time in the you know in the jail downstairs to sleep in the alcohol off from the night before. And he just, he spent time at those brothels, and we just feel like it may have potentially been him.
Possibly.
Possibly.
So when we were down there and asking questions, you actually had an experience with something rather chilling, so to speak.
Yeah, there was actually quite a few times during that investigation throughout the evening where I would feel like something cold, like would just walk right through me from the back to my front and into the room, because I was kind of standing at the door into the room, but it was like freezing, chilling cold, and every time I felt that, another investigator had an experience physically. And I'll let them talk about that more when they come on your podcast. But it was almost like a lead up to that. Like something's about to happen. And that happened about 3 or 4 times that evening. So
we were talking and we were getting the EDIs.
Mhm.
One to go, the pressure was changing. Now,
Yeah.
folks, to explain a little bit, that when you have EDIs, even 10 feet apart in the room, you shouldn't get one changing pressure and the other one not.
Yeah.
No.
Right? But we thought maybe it's possible. Maybe.
Mm.
But we were getting one for yes, and 10 feet away, we were getting the other one answering for no.
Yeah.
Now, the strange part from my prospect is when we started asking questions originally, I was doing a lot of the questions, and
you were.
a lot of times Go ahead, Amy.
Oh yeah, no, because you were doing a lot of the questions, and eventually you and Mike went up to the powerhouse to set up some equipment, and you left us girls alone in that particular room, and we were trying, God, for a good solid half hour to try and get one of those devices, like your device, to say yes, because we were using the other one for no. We could not get that to work in any regard. You guys come back. You start asking questions. Daryl's like, bleep, 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 here I am. And it's we're like, oh my God, they don't want to talk to us. They want to talk to Daryl.
Yeah, even because when I would after Daryl you were asking so many questions, right? And then you're getting lots of interaction. I'm like, I think Amy said, like, Mike, you need to ask something, like interrupt them. So I kind of, it's like, can I take over for a minute? You're like, yeah, sure. And it's like, it kind of died off a little bit too. So it's almost like whatever was there really wanted to communicate with you more than anybody else.
Yeah.
It's like, Mike, no, I don't really want this guy. And the girls, no, I don't want them.
I don't need women.
Daryl guy. I like that Daryl guy.
No, whether that was because I reminded it of somebody or I don't know. I don't know why it connected with.
And I did ask that. I did ask that out loud. I said, "Does Daryl remind you of somebody, like someone that you knew?" Right?
I remember asking. Did it flash?
Pardon me?
Did it flash?
No, it did not flash.
It didn't like your dancing mic.
It didn't like your dancing mic. Oh dear. Oh God. But well, now we got to step back a little bit, because before we went down there, before the girls went down there by themselves, me and Mike went down, and now on the way down, Mike, what did we joke about?
So we were walking back from the power station, and we wanted something to happen to the girls, but we said we did not actually say anything like for sure to go touch or hurt or harm or do anything like that. We would never actually really say that. Sometimes we say poke someone or whatever, touch them on the shoulder. But I joked about it. I said, "Could you go and touch one of them?" And then I said, "No, I'm just, I'm kidding. Like, I'd rather you do." What did we actually want them to do? Say a word.
We asked them to say 2 words and then push a pile.
Oh, and push over. There's a pile of insulation that was on some building material, and I said push over that pile of insulation, right? Like, I never asked for what actually happened to happen.
No.
Of course, first thing when we get there, like, what did you ask them to do? And we're like, what?
We didn't do anything wrong. I'm sorry, we didn't. But we were joking about it on the way down, but that's not anything we ever did say. You're
No.
100% right. And then the girls went down and you guys started to try and communicate, and things just progressively got more intense.
Yeah, it was when you guys were gone, we stayed down on the second floor and we definitely asked the questions. And Kay got affected mostly. Nikki did have an experience as well. I felt cold before this happened. But besides those physical experiences, we got very few hits on our EDIs, and we just couldn't figure out why they didn't want to talk to us. So you guys came back, and that's where it all lit up again.
Yeah. And then we went down to the bottom floor later because
Yeah.
all of that took place. And then we went down the bottom floor. Now, folks, I had a 6-hour battery. Like literally, it had 6+ hours in the camera. Mike had it on him. He turned around to face Kay downstairs. And
well, actually, it wasn't the battery that died. It was something very, very unique that even you said you've maybe only seen once happen before.
Well, the battery did die too. The battery went dead.
It did after the fact, but when before it died, I had pointed the camera at Kay because it was her turn to ask questions, and it just kind of went. It made that little chime, went doodaloo, like it was going to die, but the camera was still on, but it had stopped recording.
Yeah,
which so, like I could still
like something would actually have to physically hit that, like the stop button.
Yeah, so like I could still physically see Kay in the camera. It was like everything was there, but the camera had stopped recording. Like something pressed stop.
Yeah.
Now, folks,
and it was not me.
No, now, folks, let me just point this out. Somebody would say, "Well, did your hand actually hit the button?" I can actually say no because we had these things on a monopod. So Mike's hand was on the monopod, not on the camera.
Exactly.
So that could not have happened.
No.
Which was weird. And then I looked at it again and opened it up, got it working again, and looked and went, "Oh my God, the battery's dead. 6 hours of power instantly gone."
Yeah.
Instant. So that was really weird in itself. And some of the events which Kay is going to tell you about next in 2 weeks of what happened to her. Because I mean, it gets even weirder. But we're not going to let that out quite out of the bag yet. But after the fact, we decided to call it a night. It was it wasn't that late, but everybody was tired. Everybody was bagged out. So we had gone up to the powerhouse, me and Mike. We did our session, but we couldn't get anything there. It was too noisy, right? Yeah. So you can't really get anything around it. No. But it was really unique, fun to do, but we're not sure. I haven't even reviewed my stuff yet. So I still got reviews to do. I got videos to do. So who knows? Maybe, just maybe on the spirit box, we might have something from there. I don't know. But that case, like slightly unnerving. But that was unique. But then everybody went to bed. I drove back to New Denver. I was gone. You guys all stayed up a little bit and then went to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at a certain time at night, something happened. Now, to take you back what you stated earlier, Mike, the campsite that you and Amy and Kay and Dina were in was within the lobby of what would have been the old Rico Hotel.
Yeah. Our tents were literally where the lobby would have stood.
Yes, but you would have been just below floor level.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, what happened, Amy?
Yeah, so where mine and Kay's tent was situated and where my head would have been when I went to bed, just on the outside of our tent, probably I would say 2 feet maybe was the picnic table that was like blocking the view of anything. And even behind that was like the snowplow that goes on like the front of a train. So this massive thing that's blocking any kind of light source that's in that particular area. And I was really restless after that investigation, and it was about 2:30 in the morning, and I just so happened to be awake, and I looked up, and it was almost like somebody took a flashlight and like shone it to where my head was, and there was like all these little dots, like little like round dots all over my tent, and I was like, what the heck is that? And I didn't really hear anybody coming or going, and it was just a really strange experience. And then it was gone. And I did ask everyone in the morning, I'm like, did you get up? Nobody had gotten up. So I don't know how that could have happened, because I was standing outside our tent in the morning and I'm looking up in the trees. I'm like, it would have to be like a light that was shone through the leaves to make little dots near my head, but it happened so quickly right by my head, and then it was gone. So I can't explain that.
What the heck was that, Mike?
Oh no! That scared the pants off of me. The hell?
Just a minute. I got to email your sons. Thank you. No.
Yeah, no, right? That same night, I also heard, and I think Kay heard it as well. We heard something. We're not going to say it was someone. We think it was a something walking outside of our tents.
Oh, that was me. You and I were talking about that.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was we had just gone to bed. Like we like just got into our tents. And outside of our tents, there's like the truck, like the what do you call it? Like the trailer for the back of the
trailer. Semi-trailer. Yeah.
Semi-trailer, right? So it was like somebody like pounded their fist on it, and you could hear the clang of like the truck.
Yeah.
And then you could hear like a couple of footsteps, and then it was like gone. And I'm like, did you guys hear that? And Kay was like dead asleep already. Yeah. But you heard it.
I heard it, yes. And I was like, I am not looking outside, because my first thought was it's a bear. And I didn't want to be opening my tent coming face to face with Mr. Grizzly.
Well, next time if we're camped in the same spot when we go back, and we're definitely going to put trap cams up on the trees.
Absolutely, we have to.
Sure, yeah.
We have to,
because
it would be a good idea.
Those footsteps didn't just happen once. And Kay will inform you of that story in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to the end of the show. So folks, if it goes over a little bit, it goes over a little bit. If out of the whole experience of what happened and everything that you did there, Amy, what are the top 3 things that stand out for you about Sandon BC?
Oh my God. Oh, you're putting me on the spot again.
I'm glad I can go first on this one.
I was going to ask Mike first, but no, I won't do it to him. I'll do it to him next show.
The top 3. Oh my God. Just knowing how Vita and Hal are preserving that site the best that they can, and just learning the history and actually being there to see it, that to me was amazing. I don't know. I mean, just I don't know, just getting together with a team was great. Just having, sitting around a campfire and sharing like ghost stories. That's kind of cool. I don't know. It's just, there's so many things just all wrapped up. Everything about it was amazing. I can't say one thing was better than the other.
Awesome. That's cool. And Mike, I'm not going to hit you on that question yet. I'll wait a couple of weeks before I do that. But and folks, I mean, if Amy, if you could tell anybody, that, hey, what would you think would be a good way to help support Sandon and what they're doing to help them continue to refurbish and do what they're doing now? What do you think?
Oh my God, take a drive up there. First of all, it's a beautiful drive up there. It's quiet. You'll just be so encapsulated in history up there. You can rent tents and cots, and Vita's got her food truck up there, and I'm sure you can probably give donations and stuff up there as well if you went. And I think once you learn about the history and you see it, you're gonna want to help in some way. So I think just going and calling your friends, and if you want kind of a remote location just to get away from and go camping, go to Sandon.
buy stuff from their store.
Buy stuff from their store. Absolutely. You can also, folks, you can find Sandon at www.sandoninthekootenays.ca. And that'll lead you to the website and whatnot, and you have a get involved thing that you can click on and volunteer, donate, and work parties and all kinds of stuff. So they have a lot of things you can do. Again, that's www.sandoninthekootenays.ca. If you want to know, you talk to either Hal or Vita. Any little thing will help. Even if you go up and camp for a couple of nights and enjoy the area, learn the history, and visit the places. And there's also hikes you can do that we didn't even get a chance to do this time. Old mines and stuff. You can't really go into all the mines, but they do have a trip that will take you up to a mine, which is kind of really cool. And then you come down and have a fire and whatever. You can have some drinks or whatever after the fact. So they get a lot of cool stuff that they do.
Next trip will be
That's our next
next
trip.
trip will be
Next-
totally worth
well,
it.
That's right.
Like
Next
4
trip
days.
is going to be about I'm booking a whole week. So there you go.
Yeah.
It's going to be fantastic. And next time, maybe I'll even camp. Who knows? I want to hear these footsteps.
You have to. And you know what? I also just wanted to add Vita's cooking. Oh my God. Oh my
Her
God.
waffle sandwiches. Oh my God, so good.
Yeah, they're very good, folks, and they go out of their way for everybody. I just had a vivid picture. I'm thinking, wait a minute, I camp. I can see Amy and Mike creeping around the tent. I heard
I have my
footsteps.
scary mask on.
As long as Amy doesn't wear the scary mask. I do have some
Oh,
pictures
God.
of that. I was going to put it in the video earlier, and I kept it out on purpose. But
Well, and they make amazing coffee, as Kay said too. But folks, there's going to be in a couple of weeks we're going to have Kay Thornton on board here, and she's going to get in a little bit more of the history side of things. So me and Mike are going to be able to sit back, just relax and listen. She's going to get more into the history side of things a little bit, and whatnot. Talk about that and her whole part in the event that happened on the second floor, and what happened to her afterward is probably one of the coolest things I ever heard. And I mean, I'm just like, when she told me, I just went, wow. And I did. I mean, I was shocked. So 2 weeks, folks, you're going to have to wait 2 weeks to find that out. And yes, you are, Kay. No question mark on that.
It's a great show.
There you go. So folks, I know it's 1:02. We've been on over an hour. But you know what? Thank you so much for coming on and joining myself, Daryl, Mike, and Amy tonight on Off the Cuff Paranormal. And we look forward to seeing you all in a couple of weeks, if not even more of you. Amy, thank you so much for being a part of the show. It's always a pleasure to have you on board.
Thank you. You bet.
Awesome.
good to see you.
So, yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
it was good to see you guys too.
So on behalf of myself, Daryl,
Mike.
and
Amy.
way over that way. Want to wish you all a great night and have an excellent weekend, and keep yourselves cool if you can. It's going to be hauling. Anyway, good night,
Bye,
folks.
Mike.
Oh, there. We had to get that in. Good night. Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Bye bye.